Stirewalt, senior fellow for the American Enterprise Institute and contributing editor for The Dispatch. Okay, Chris, you called it here on Tuesday. Trump-backed Senate candidate Ted Budd winning in North Carolina. But what do you make of what we saw in Pennsylvania's GOP Senate race in terms of how tight this race is and the fact that we're probably going to go to an automatic recount between Oz and McCormick?
We probably are looking at an automatic recount, but I would also say there's thousands of votes out there, and they're evenly distributed across the state in such a way that there's no way to know how this is going to end up. There's still a ton of votes in western Pennsylvania and the southern Philadelphia suburbs that are yet to be counted. Those have both been strongholds for McCormick, so this is anybody's race still. Now, obviously, Kathy Barnett did not come through, but just a word about that. I think she is a victim of the expectations game. If you would have told anybody 2 weeks ago that this unheard of, sort of fringy figure would perform so well and do so much and really potentially jeopardize Dr. Oz's chance to be the Republican nominee in Pennsylvania, it would be a huge story. But because people thought she might win or because of her polling surge, the fact that she came up a bit short sort of counts against her. So I think that is a very important story because what it talks about is this is the first grassroots revolt from the MAGA movement against Donald Trump. That such a large percentage of Pennsylvania Republicans were willing to defy Donald Trump. They came hard for her. They attacked her. The former president and his allies really came for her. And the fact that a quarter or so of Pennsylvania's Republican primary voters defied that tells us a little something.
Yeah, and these conversations are going to continue, really, because there are candidates like Kathy Barnett in many races across the country. But let's go to the Democratic side for Pennsylvania. John Fetterman winning the Senate race. This is not a surprise. You say Connor Lamb is the safer choice, and there are probably a lot of people who would agree with you. Do you think Fetterman is resonating with the working class, or is his support for the likes of Bernie Sanders and marijuana legalization more of a risk for Pennsylvania Democrats?
Well, marijuana legalization is pretty popular now in America. That issue sort of is rolling down the path, no pun intended. The reality for Democrats is they've chosen a riskier candidate. Now, that may pay off in a big way. Maybe Fetterman is who they think he is, somebody who can connect with voters of different kinds and won't be too easy to paint as a radical. But I will say this, Pennsylvania, which is famous for its sort of boring politicians, and I don't mean to cast aspersions on them, but Pennsylvania politicians, typically successful Pennsylvania politicians, have typically been sort of mild-mannered, whether they're conservative or whether they're liberal. That's how they've been. We could have a Pennsylvania Senate primary here that pits a 6 foot 8 inch tall, tattooed, sort of roustabout kind of guy on one side, and on the other side, a celebrity TV doctor who only recently realized that he was just desperate to be a Pennsylvanian and a conservative Republican all along, even though he never knew it. So that would be a very weird kind of race for Pennsylvania and a great one to watch.
Can I ask you about your thoughts on Madison Cawthorn? Because I'm sure you have plenty. On Tuesday, he was defeated in his congressional district primary. Are we seeing parties too eager to bring in these young firebrands who go viral, who have zero political experience, and quite possibly don't have the lived-in experience to handle the pressure of politics?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, save a prayer for Madison Cawthorn. He's a very troubled young man, obviously. And I hope that this is an opportunity for him to reflect and to step back from, celebrity is a powerful and dangerous thing. He's 26 years old, and he became sort of a mascot for the MAGA movement, and it was all of this stuff. I would say, though, that one shouldn't judge Trump on this race too much. His effect in these races, I look out to Idaho, where Trump backed the lieutenant governor in her challenge against the sitting governor, Brad Little, Janice McGeachin. That was never going to happen, right? Madison Cawthorn certainly overperformed. McGeachin overperformed. But Trump's name alone can't save a badly troubled candidate like these two were. And I think we have to sort of keep that in perspective.
Context is always important. Some people lose their way trying to get there. Thank you so much, Chris. Appreciate you being with us as always.
You bet.
Let's get to some breaking news in Europe, Finland, and Sweden. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.